Olá, malta. Tudo bem? Estão bons? Vocês também estão com este sol? Parece que estamos em Miami. Desculpem este minutinho de atraso, estávamos aqui a tentar estabelecer a nossa ligação. Penso que já está tudo ok. Temos aqui uma grande convidada, mais uma baterista de grande peso. Já está aqui disponível para falar connosco. Portanto, preparem as vossas perguntas. Não se esqueçam do ícone, o ícone do ponto de interrogação que está em baixo. Coloquem, por favor, aí todas as vossas perguntas, ok? Que vai ser uma grande conversa. Vamos convidar a AKHAMIE, assim que se pronuncia, em 3 segunditos. Hi!
Hey, say hi!
Hello! Hey.
It's almost nap time.
Hey!
How are you?
Sorry, I was texting you because I was just to be sure, because all these different schedules, sometimes I'm worried.
I was thinking, I looked up on Google yesterday. I said, okay, it's 2 o'clock. And then luckily you emailed me and you're like, see you at 1. I'm like, oh, okay, that's like now.
So sometimes I'm wondering, am I bothering people like, oh, okay, just to be sure, okay, today, this hour. Like,
no, I appreciate that. Definitely, yeah, that's a good thing to do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. You have many, many fans here in Portugal and worldwide, of course, but many people here are very interested and they were very happy to see you here. I have so many questions. So amazing. One of the questions, of course, but we will get there, is how this being a mother, I would, I would love to be a father. I'm still not a father. I don't know. There's still time. I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
Must be amazing. Must be amazing. And what you did, you just went on tour after you just had your child.
Yeah,
really...
it was amazing. It was a blessing, really. So I came to Portugal. And it's very pretty.
Oh, I was thinking because you say Wicca, it's Wicca, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I remember, where did you play? Lisbon, Porto, or?
Lisbon. Yeah.
Okay, I remember because it's a huge singer. It's amazing. I want to ask all these things, but first of all, I want to remind everybody that they have a question mark. They have a question mark down here, so they can place some of their questions here, and I will address them to you. So we don't have to bother with all the everybody saying hello here, hello, saying hello to everybody. It's sunny. It looks like Miami. So you did you start?
Let me
No worries.
Let me grab my charger. Get my phone charged so it'll stop pausing. Get my phone plugged in.
I'm gonna check for some questions over here. Okay, still don't be shy. You can ask because everybody's saying amazing. I'm following all the videos, all the groups, and now you can ask. And now you can talk. Okay, so it's a big opportunity. Did you start at what age? Because I know that you started studying with was it your teacher? Was it Miles Overton?
Overton, yeah. Mr. Overton. Yeah, I started studying with him when I was about I was in 10th grade in high school. So I was like 14 or
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
All right, we're plugged in. Yeah, so I started studying with Mr. Overton when I was in high school, and I went to him because I wanted to become a better reader. I was having issues reading music, and up until that point, I was basically self-taught. So I was in band class, and I got called out. It's like, hey, we want you to play this line in music, and I couldn't play it because up until that point, I was using my ears a lot. I would just play by ear, listen and play. So yeah, I went to him, and he really helped me, develop my skills.
Yeah, when I read your biography, I could feel, I don't know, but I could feel that this was a very important teacher to you because I could feel it, that first passionate person that teaches you how to read. And I relate to that a lot because I teach many years, and I teach mostly people to how to read, and starting in starting on drums. And it's really passionate because it's really a labor of love. You have to try to do everything right because it's most of the times I'm the first teacher, you know. So it's I relate to that a lot. It's these guys are really big, and most of the times nobody listens about all these great teachers around the world that help so many people and
Yeah.
keep their passion right. So lots of all the chops, all the drum corps stuff,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah. He like march. Okay, so he himself was in the army band for the U.S. So he
Yeah.
was in the army bands. So he had a really good insight on marching percussion, drum set, mallet percussion, because you know, like it's a very wide to play drums. It's a very wide instrument, which you know, it's a lot of things. And then you don't even touch on hand percussion. You know, you might play mallets, you might play marching stuff, you might play drum set, but then there's like a whole nother world of hand stuff, hand percussion. So yeah, he really just opened up my whole eyes and my mind to thinking about things completely differently. So
Amazing. Did you feel also when you started reading that your playing changes automatically when you start reading and understanding stuff a different way?
at first, because for so many years I had used my ears, I was still, even when I
Relying.
knew how to read the music, I was still like, that doesn't sound like, I was reading ahead. I'm like, I don't know if I want to play that. And hey, it was right. That's what the music said. That's what I was supposed to play. But I was always kind of second guessing it and trying to like fight with my ears. My ears were like, you don't want to play that. And I'm like, I should play that. That's what it says, you know? So it was a bit of a challenge at first, but
Okay.
now after being in the military band myself, in the Navy band, and having to play charts and music with the whole band relying on you. Sometimes you're in a big band with 10, 15, 20 people, and they're expecting you to play what's written. If it says you got to play it. So yeah, that's it was a struggle at first, but now it's okay. I know like when you got to read the music, you got to read the music. When you can be more creative, then you can be more creative. So you just got to know kind of what situation you're in.
Great. We've been talking a lot about that, all those things about groove technique. It's so different for so many people. It's so good to share this and talk about this finally with no judgment, like no technique over groove or feeling over. No, it's all a big thing that we work all our lives and it's never done. It's amazing, right? It's amazing. I would like to. You lived in Japan, right?
Yes. I lived in Japan for 3 years. So that's where I met my husband. He was a saxophone player in the Navy band. So yeah, we were both stationed there for 3 years, and we were traveling all over Asia, playing music and representing the U.S. as musical ambassadors. So that was kind of like my first introduction to really being a professional musician, traveling, playing, showing up to gigs, getting set up. So it was like, wow, this is really cool. This is not something that every 19, 20-year-old gets to do right after finishing high school. So it was a really great opportunity, and I had a blast. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Did you have some taiko experience? Did you get to see something or?
I got to see, I didn't get the chance to actually play, which would have been very, very cool. But when we would have festivals and we would be playing, like, because usually I was always having to play too. So I never had an opportunity to just like go in, So, but at festivals, we could see like sometimes if we're having like they call them military tattoos, but there's military bands from usually all over the world. And they would come and I could see, taiko drumming or like weird, interesting, like music, drumming from all over the world. So it was cool. He's falling asleep.
Amazing experience, amazing. Traveling is really, it's funny because I was reading, I was watching you play with Wicca of course, I need to do my homework. And I was reading an interview where she said this about traveling, and I felt very, I understood quite well what she said, that if people would travel more, there would be perhaps less wars or no wars at all. And it's amazing, isn't it? Because it's because I feel it also when you travel. And me being a Portuguese, we went all over the world, and we still have this thing about the others, and we're kind of, I don't know, we tend to like to be with different people and to mingle and stuff. And I feel that too when you travel. It's amazing, isn't it? All the experiences, to see the real people and what they do. It's very interesting what she said. Did you was there any rhythms or patterns in all these travels in Asia? And then I will ask you about something else. That you felt like, oh, this is really, I need to catch this. I need to, what's this? This is really nice groove.
Yeah, when I was traveling, living in Japan, or I always wanted to check out the instruments or the percussion instruments and see like, maybe I don't necessarily have to know how to play them, but to hear them being played, I started pulling, you know, from different genres and places that I've been. Like, there was, I don't even know what it's called, but like when I was in Japan, I saw this this group playing a traditional like Japanese type of drumming, and they had these like almost like they were like cymbals, but it was like a very high, like boing boing, you know, it's like very syncopated, very, very cool. And I like, man, you know, that stuff sticks in my head because I'm so interested in it. And next thing I know, I could be playing on the drum set, and those rhythms will start coming out in my playing. I'm like, man, where did that come from? And you think back, you're like, where did I hear anything like that? Oh, you know, I was here, or I heard this, or I saw this. And that's why like the quote, art inspires art, is so true on so many levels, because it just, you hear something, you see something, you're like, wow, that's cool. And your brain holds on to it. It's like, how can I implement that? Or how can I go and learn that? You'll remember it. So.
It's true, so true. It's I've said it in one of the live chats here. Sometimes when I don't have so much time to study, I listen a lot. I try to listen music all the time, driving or whatever, and it works. If you're listening to something that you really like, when you go and you go to rehearse or something, and something pops out like, oh, this is that stuff that I've been listening to. It's amazing, and you're not playing. I don't know if this happens with all kinds of musicians, but with me it happens a lot. And I also started by listening and playing by ear, right? So you have Nigerian roots. You have.
Yes. My dad is from Edo State, Nigeria. So it's pretty far from Lagos, which is the bigger city. But I had the opportunity to visit. I had the opportunity to visit a couple of years ago, and it was just amazing to just be there. And you know, you see the environment, you see the trees, you see like the palm trees, the coconut trees, like so tall, and the vegetation is just so beautiful. You're like, wow, this is nothing like the movies. You know, it's like it's raw, it's authentic. So it was really, really cool to see and hear some of the music, people just playing right on the streets, you know, just right on the streets, people selling things, people sharing things, art. It is just, everything is just like right, you are right there in it, and it was just amazing.
I must be amazed. I never went to Africa, but my father went, and he always says this, like, oh, I don't know, there's something. He always says, when it rained, and the weather, and the smells, and the landscape, and the big, he says big space, like
yeah,
because we live in tiny spaces here in Europe. It's everything like dolls, houses, and it's big, and it's like he always talks very with the tenderness. It's amazing. It's fun, and this to me is really interesting. It's a little aside of what we were saying, but it's interesting because actually he was there stationed. He was at war, so. But still, he says it was so good. So there was a lot of bad stuff. But then it must be really magical for someone to be at war and saying, no, I would like to go back there. This is
Yeah, that's
makes me
awesome.
want to go there.
Yeah, yeah. I also went to Morocco, so
Okay.
with Boika, so that's further North Africa. But
Mhm.
to compare or to just because I've now been to Nigeria, I've been to Morocco, and to see like it's drastically different, like a complete
Yeah,
different vibe, you know. But
people people say that, and all the rhythms, you know, when I'm studying, I love all the African rhythms and all the Mid East rhythms,
mhm,
and up sub-Saharan rhythms are really, really different. And I imagine the culture also.
mhm. Oh yeah, like that. So part of how I've been exploring, I like you said, I've been listening, and I asked my dad. I'm like, I'll ask him about certain instruments and certain percussion, West African drums and stuff. And he's just like, oh, it's just a drum. It's a drum. I'm like, but what kind of drum is it? And I was like, man, how am I gonna learn it? He's like, I want to learn this style. He was like, you don't need to learn it. It's already in you. You already have it. I'm like,
It's
so
they
so when
always, it's like, oh, I want to know I don't want to know from you. This is really, it's okay. No, it's just your father. I could share this history with you. No, it's just a
my
my
dad though, he's written a book. He wrote a book about his life. Yeah, it's called Pathway to Promise.
oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
I,
it's on Amazon.
I'm
So
going
you
to
can
write it down.
check it out. Actually, I have a picture of it. So it was really cool to read his book and to learn about some of the stuff that he experienced growing up, because he grew up in the village. So
Oh, great. What's the title again? Sorry, because
it's called Pathway to Promise.
okay, okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's on Amazon. Also, I just released a song, so like if you search AKHAMIE, hit my song and his book will come up. Really, like the only things with AKHAMIE on Amazon.
Okay, okay, okay. I was listening to your Universal Love, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes, yes, yes.
I was listening
Yeah,
to it. It's really beautiful, and I'm very interested in asking you about your album because you will put an album out, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Uh,
I'm about. I have lyrics, so I'm talking to some friends, because I mean I sing on Universal Love, but sing is not my forte.
I didn't knew that. I didn't.
That was me singing.
But
I
it's
did my
really.
best. So I've been talking to some of my friends, vocalists and different musicians I worked with while I was in the Navy, and I'm like, hey, I'm writing some lyrics, I'm writing music. Do you guys want to be a part of this project? And so they're like, yeah. So yeah, my goal is to have it done before the end of the year. So yeah, as soon as this thing is good to go and safe to go back outside, go to the studio and record. I'm doing a little bit of recording here in my
I've talked to some people that are in the US. Now we are, because we started earlier, now we are going outside. We are starting to do things slowly. So, but it's good to be outside. Finally, we can sit and have a coffee finally. This week
wow.
was the first day, but everything is spaced and controlled, and
Hmm.
uh, but we have been good, but it was tough.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. I imagine. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to me, like this time has been very useful to like just sit, reflect, set goals, pray, work on music. That's like, I've just been like, wow, this is amazing. This is amazing.
It's amazing, some things happen. I was quite alone most of the time with my beautiful dog, and I live in the city center, so it was completely zombie land for
Wow.
6 days, and that made me really, I don't know, it was a strange travel. It was maybe calmer, maybe
Mhm.
reflect, and I think I'm good to go. No, it's amazing. It really is was something that I will remember always. and I've been listening to so many music, and these talks with so many drummers have been amazing. So many people saying, "Oh, I didn't knew this drummer. Oh, I didn't knew about this." People get connected. It's amazing. It's what I really believe in. I really believe in this. I was working many years with kids. Always just don't try just to play. Try to listen and try to understand what's going on. Try to know what's going on. Because if you're just playing, the probabilities, and we've been seeing that. I have also a YouTube channel where I have interviews with musicians, and I ask, what do you want from a drummer? It's kind of a joke. It's like, what do musicians want from a drummer? Because sometimes they will say, we're 4 musicians plus a drummer, haha. And then I did this, and it's quite interesting because most of the time what people will want from you, of course they want a great groove and a great drummer, but most of all they want someone who listens and who mingles. And this is really important, not to lose the sight of this. Sometimes it may happen.
Yeah.
So people were telling me this afternoon, "Oh no, we need to see some playing." And I said, and I said, "Usually don't do that, okay?" When I was with Klaus Hessler here from Germany, a great drummer and author, he was playing. It was fun. He was the only one who did it. But it's fun because with you, people were asking me a lot, like, they want to see you play. People really enjoy your videos because you are playing. When I see you play, I feel happy. You know what I mean? And that doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't mean anything. It's not wrong or right, but sometimes I watch a drummer play and I'm not happy, or I don't feel something. And when I see you, I feel really happy. It's like, okay, it's gonna be a great day. And for me, drumming is about that, a lot.
Yeah.
Not only we know that as a professional, okay, but you need to feel it, right? Because if in the end of the day, if you're in a big project doing something big, but if it's really tough, you don't feel okay, I don't think it will never work, right? I don't know if you agree.
No, yeah, I have so I'll talk about how this whole percussion setup and how this whole thing kind of started. Like, I was living in Texas a couple of years ago, and I didn't have room for my drums in the house, so I put the drums in the garage. And some of my first videos of like they started going viral. I was in the garage, I had like a cajon, I had like a hi-hat, and I was using my cajon as like a kick, a snare, and then I had some electronics. And I was practicing one day, and a woman is coming by. I thought she was gonna ask me to stop playing, and she says, "Do you mind if I listen?" And I was like, she's like, I've had a migraine headache all day, and hearing you play is making me feel so relaxed. And I was like, whoa, that's really cool, because like that's what you want to do. You want to be able to help people feel better, or emotionally happy. You don't want people to hear you play and they feel upset or angry or sad. Like, you want to induce positivity and good vibes. So when she said that, I was like, wow, man. So I went and looked it up, and I started researching stuff about these like repetitive rhythms. Some of these like African rhythms, they're so repetitive. They help with your mind, and like the repetition just kind of like I think it's kind of like a form of almost like music therapy. And then I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I need to get a degree in drum therapy. And I Google drum therapy. It doesn't exist. Music therapy exists, but drum therapy doesn't exist.
It's so great that you're talking about that, because it's great. I completely agree. I've been working with people, with students, handicapped students with drums. Because we have a great tradition of drums here where I live in Portugal. We have people go and they play on the streets, and they're just players. They just grab a bass drum or a snare drum. It's not like a drum corps, but they do this when we have religious ceremonies and stuff, and they will play, and it's really intense. And we use this because it's a common language, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I've worked with people, with autistic people, and they're playing and dancing. If you play a samba, they will start dancing, and they dance the beats. They know what's going on. And it's amazing, and it's really interesting. We should do more stuff with with that because I've seen it work with little children. It's amazing. I was teaching kids with 3, 4, and 5 years old for many years here doing our cultural bass drums. Then I can send you a video so you can see all the people
Yeah,
playing.
please.
Really nice. It's
Amazing.
fun. And you're true. You're right. Because drums were always forms of used as a means of communication,
Mhm.
and we still have that. It's many, 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 many years, many centuries, so thousands of years, and we've been playing and feeling stuff like, okay, it's going to be a war, or there's a wedding going on, or and you said it yourself, the rhythms, the clave rhythms, all the patterns,
Mhm.
they really induce states of mind. I believe so. I
Yeah.
believe you're right, and it's really interesting, and it's something that I try to do a lot with my drumming. Like, okay, I could play something, and that's what I really also love about your patterns and feelings. It's not like the boom bap, boom bap. It's great, it works, it works. You need to do it sometimes, but why? You can sit on the drums and just start playing with a pattern. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not boom bap bap anymore. So you don't need, and you don't need also like blah, blah, blah. You can
Mhm.
do something that makes you. It's amazing. It's amazing. I
Yeah.
love that.
I'm right
And
there
your
with
video.
you. You're speaking my language.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So, how was it to tour with Wickers? Many travels again.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. So I had just had Julian in March, and so the year before in 2019 they came, they saw one of my videos. That's how they found me, and they said, we saw your video on Instagram, and we
Amazing.
were wondering if you want to go on tour the following year, which was 2019. And I was 2 months pregnant at the time. And I was like, I was like, I'm just gonna say yes. I talked to my husband about it. I'm like, if I tell him I'm pregnant, I don't know if they're gonna. But he's like, well,
Yeah.
you've never met them, just go, like say yes and see how it goes. Tell
Mhm.
them later. So my thinking was, like, we've never played anything together. They haven't heard me play. So they invited us to Miami, Florida, to do like a recording session. It was kind of like an audition, and
Okay.
the other girls from New York came, and the bass player from Georgia came. So we all met there, and I was 5 months pregnant at the time now, but I wasn't showing. You couldn't tell. So like we do the recording, and everything goes great. And so it's getting closer to my due date, and the schedule for 2019 comes out, the world tour schedule, and I'm like, oh man, I guess I gotta tell them, I gotta tell them. So I say, I'm gonna need the month of March off. I'll be having a baby, and they're like, they had no idea I was pregnant. I didn't say anything, and they were just like, you're having a baby? Oh my gosh, this is so exciting! It's so exciting. But my fear was that they were gonna tell me that they could not allow me to do the tour, and that's basically what they said. They were just like, go have your baby, and we have to find someone else. That's basically kind of what they said. And in the back of my mind, I was like, I kept checking my email, like after I had Julian. I was like, they're gonna ask me to come back, and they did. So like 2 months later, they were like, hey, are you still interested? You wanna continue and I was like, what? Seriously? I knew it was going to happen. I was just waiting. I was waiting for them to come back. And when they came back, I was like, yeah, sure. Like, where are we going? They were like, we're going to Portugal in a week. And I was like, you want me to learn the music in a week? So here I am, a brand new mom, a 2-month-old son, and I'm about to go to Portugal to play my first show with a group I've only played with like one time. So no, we had a long sound check, and we went on stage and we played. You play, you leave your heart on the stage, you put everything you have into it. So luckily my husband's his grandmother was here, so Julian
Mhm.
was taken care of. Everything was fine, and I was back within about 4 or 5 days. So that was the first show with the group.
Great.
But the tour was great. You know, we traveled to Canada, we went to Morocco, we went to Spain, we went to Israel. We did the Red Sea Jazz Festival in Israel. So it was like, and these are like places you're like, oh, I would love to go there one day, you know. But then you're there and you're experiencing it, and you're experiencing the culture, and you're seeing the people, and it's just, and the food is just, it's just amazing. So it was a really really great time.
Such a great history story. It's people at home, other musicians don't do this at home. This is only for drummers. Because it's amazing. You must have been, you know, I talked about this already also in the channel, but sometimes you're playing with people that they have babies, women or men, and some of them stop playing and they stop going, and they change, and they start seeing music as something that is opposed to and some other people, nothing changes, and it's amazing. And I love this. It's like, for me, I want to learn with these people. I want to be like that one day if it happens to me. I want to try to be like that. And it's really inspiring. It's amazing, because what you did to me feels like the right thing, you know, not like the right, it is what it is. It's amazing. You had your baby in this time with this big opportunity. It's almost like everything came together, right? And it is what it is, and you had to go, and it's amazing, and you went, and everything's fine, and just you have kids, it's your work.
Yeah, that was one thing. That was one thing I always said, because there's people that will tell you, and this is what they told me when I was first joining the Navy. I was like 19. I was a very young little girl, you know, playing with all the big guys who have gone to school and stuff. But they came to me, they're like, you know, you want to wait to have kids. Don't have kids too early, because you won't be able to play drums anymore. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, of course I'll be able to play drums. Like, so.
And I say amen to that, because that's how we change the world, right? That's how we change the world. I've been talking about this with so many people and friends. You change the world by doing your bit, doing your thing. Come on. I had a baby, okay, it's just that, okay.
Yeah.
I need something, but I don't need. It's like, let's change the world. Let's do this. It's come on, and I really, really inspires me to
Well, that makes me happy, because when I was very concerned myself, and I was just like, okay, let me go Google how many pregnant women are still playing drums. And I'm like, I want to make sure I'm not causing any, you know, thing to happen. I Google it. I don't find any, like, very little, maybe 1 or 2 articles. You see maybe 1 or 2 videos of someone pregnant playing drums. So you're like, oh man. So what really was like the confirmation that it was okay was the okay from my midwife. She was like, no, it's fine. Keep drumming. She's like, it's good for the baby. You know,
it's good.
It's good to introduce what he's going to experience when he gets here. You don't want to wait for him to get here, and then you're going to start, because in the womb, he'll get used to the sounds. He'll get used to like the movements, you know, and when he comes, it'll be a part of him, because it's a part of me, and he's in there. So that was kind of like what really helped me to give me the inspiration or the motivation to continue to play. But I was mindful, you know, I'm not like just, you know, playing like a hardcore rock, you know, I'm playing with softer brushes, or, you know, so, but I had the faith, and I just believed that it was possible. So that's part of it too. If you say, I don't think it's going to be, when I have a kid, I'm not going to be able to play music, then you already tell your brain that you can't do it. Yeah. So your brain's like, okay. But if you say, I'm going to have a baby, and I'm going to continue to do everything I don't know how it's going to happen, but I believe it will. You give your mind, you give the universe opportunities to bring you things, you know?
Of course. Yes, of course. It's true. I want to remind sometimes, I'm sorry about my English most of the times, that they can and should place some questions. If they want to place some questions, they have a question mark down here.
Okay.
It's for me, it's such an inspiring talk. And already I knew it would be like this. I don't know if there's some questions here, but there's so many people passing by. So if you If you want to ask, please do, because there's an album coming out. I'm very curious about that. And I don't know if you already chose your musicians for the album or are still trying
I
to...
I have a few people in mind who I'm already working with. The vocalist is Sarah. Trombone player who was actually one of my teachers when I was in high school. So I'm kind of like pulling people that I know they have the time and they have the hunger. They want it. I've talked to them because like there's a certain kind of musician, like you can go to them, they sound great, they're amazing, but they don't have that drive. They don't want it bad enough. If you say, hey, come over, let's do a recording, they're gonna say, you know what, I don't have, I'm doing something. They're not gonna make the time or move the schedule to come and play. So the musicians that I'm working with, they have that hunger, they have that drive. Sometimes they're even texting me, they're like, how's this going? You're working on this. And I'm like, that's what I love.
That's best, yeah.
It's not me having to always be like, hey, have you done this or da-da-da, so yeah. But for the album, my idea is to really kind of explore, it's going to be like a story, and it's going to explore several genres of music, which I don't think is traditional for albums. Usually you stick to one genre, you have a style. But because I'm influenced by so many, different genres and styles, and I want to kind of really showcase that. And if someone's like, they like not country, but if they like blues, I might do a country song, but not on this album. If they like blues, there's going to be a blues song. If you like that New Orleans type of, it's going to be that on there, so it's going to really showcase kind of the places that I've been and the music that has really inspired me. So
great. Must be. I'm very curious. I will be there when it comes out. I was going to ask you something about your song is called Universal Love, and was that somehow influenced by your travels through the world, or by your being a mother, or something specific, or just your...
The Universal Love was first initially, I started exploring the mind and how powerful the mind is. So I started reading The Law of Attraction on audiobook. So this book started discussing how, whatever you want in life, you already have it. Just say thank you. You start giving thanks in advance of what you want. So I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And then I found out later on, as I kept doing more research, at the highest level of consciousness is love. So when you do everything out of love, then you are like, you're in what you're supposed to. You become like a whole being. You become where you're supposed to be, and like your energy changes. Everything changes when you operate out of love. So you remove fear, you remove anger, you remove all of this stuff, and I'm like, whoa. So love is like, I'm like, oh my gosh, love is it. Love is like, so, and I was like, oh man. And I had recently just gotten a sponsorship with Mino Percussion, and they sent me a tongue drum, which is kind of like a vibes, very just warm feeling. It's like a bells, but a little more mellow. So it's called a tongue drum. And so I already had the lyrics written. So from The Law of Attraction, and the other book that I was reading was called Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. So so everyone was talking about love, and then I'm like, okay, what is love? God is love. I'm like, whoa, God's love. So everything is operating. We're all just part of him. So I was like, it blew my mind. I was like, I gotta write a song. So I wrote some lyrics, and then from there, the whole thing it came together. I wrote it basically like in two hours. I recorded it. He was sleeping. It was like maybe 2:00 in the morning, and I was like, whoa, this is a song right here. I sang it one time, and I couldn't sing it again because I wanted to do another take. I was like, maybe I gotta clean this up. I
It
couldn't
was
even
one
think
of those. It was one of those get things that it's just it just was, and then it's
yeah,
okay.
it,
Now
yeah,
I need
it
to.
just happens. You know, you try to like do it again, and it's just like, oh my gosh, that was this one time. So what
Now
I
I
did was, and this was probably like last month. I was like, you know what, this song is very appropriate for the times right now, because if we start operating out of love and push aside like the media and all the fear and all of this stuff that's like
anger and
yeah, it's totally like if we just kind of really seek and investigate love and put that at the source of our feelings. So sometimes like I might get upset about something. I try not to get upset, but you might say, hey, these are feelings of being upset, and you say, all right, how can I address this with love? And then it completely changes your outlook. So that's kind of what I've been applying towards the beginning of the year. And after reading these two books specifically, it basically led me to the Bible, and like, oh, this is the source of everything. God is the source, creator, universe. So that's kind of what would happen. And from there, I feel like I've been awake. Like I was sleeping and now I'm awake, and I'm like, oh my gosh, everything makes sense.
You said
So,
it's a tongue, right?
tongue, like a tongue. I can show it to you. You want me to go grab it?
It's because I think I have one. I think I think I'm thinking about the same.
I'm gonna go put him down. I'm gonna go put him down and I'll grab it.
Thank you. I'm gonna keep on talking because some people asked about drumming lessons, and I know that you are doing drum lessons. So I'm almost sure. So I will tell everybody here that for sure they can send you a message or whatever, and you are available to teach. And we have another question down here. João Graça. Okay, good. We have a nice question from João Graça. Don't you have any questions, drummers out there? Yeah, talking drum, yeah. These all wooden drums, African, really old tradition, because in the beginning, yeah, whatever question. Yes, I don't know if it's a musical question about the career of AKHAMIE or about her ideas, of course. I was saying first percussion instruments were wooden things that we would beat. We would be playing and experimenting. So it's amazing. Okay, a good question. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay.
So this is the tongue drum. Julian woke up. I don't know if you can hear him, but this is kind of the sound. And this is. So this is how I started the song off with So as soon as I got it, I was like, whoa, this is very beautiful. Is this what you were thinking of?
Yeah, great. No, I was thinking I have a wooden one. It's a tongue. I have a video, and I'm going to send it to you because I thought it was the same instrument, and it's amazing because I did a small video on Instagram, and and I was feeling what you were saying. It's amazing what you were saying about love, and that was what I meant when I said that this was a big trouble for me in this period. And there was a day when we lost the big Afrobeat king, but I didn't know. So I made this video with an African pattern, and I just posted it into Instagram. And these instruments are really love, and I said I was so at peace, and I did this, and I posted the video, and I even said, okay, peace and love is all we need. And then in the next day, I, I saw the news and I was like, oh, come on, it's coincidence. But
Yeah.
it was a funny coincidence. There's some questions here. I don't know if you want to be with Julian. It's okay for me. It's okay.
Well, I'm trying to see.
Go, go.
I'm trying to give him a second. Sometimes he'll just. I give him like
So,
2 minutes, and then he might go to sleep and because he's tired.
okay. Yeah, of course, of course, of course. I think we have 10 minutes to go. So, but there was some questions. People were asking you about the match grip versus the traditional. When do you use one or the other? Do you have any preference? Or just
If I'm playing jazz, I go for traditional. So I'll play traditional for when I'm playing jazz because I need a softer touch on the snare. And so I noticed, like for me, just having a match grip on my snare playing jazz is not ideal. All right, 1 second. Let me go grab him.
go.
I don't think he's gonna go back to sleep.
Sorry, it was the instrument. The baby was heavily sleeping, yeah. So we're coming up. We have 10 minutes, so hello. Hey.
He's like, I know my mom's not holding me anymore.
Hey, how are you? Oh, I'm sleepy. Oh. These live interviews. And there was a question about some traveling a lot, playing with so many people. Is there a funny story? Is there something that ever happened?
Okay, funny story. Okay, I was in the Philippines, and it was one of my first shows with the Navy band. And of course, I was nervous and excited. So we have the set list, and on the set list, has the songs and what's coming up next. So you try to make the transitions very quick, but we're all reading music, so we have sometimes charts that are 3-4 pages long. So you gotta wait for I gotta keep an eye on the other musicians, kind of wait for them to get their stuff. So I'm like, all right, everyone look over. I'm like, you guys ready? And everyone's like, they're ready. So I click up the song, and it's Georgia on My Mind, which has a big triplet. So I'm like, I don't even have to count it off. I just go, and no one plays. And so I'm like, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I'm like, you know what? Let me try it. Let me play this again. So and like my friend Katie on trumpet, she plays. She goes, they look over like, Cammy, you're on the wrong song. Like on stage. They're like, Sway is up next. I'm like, oh, I'm like,
That's the best. Or when you're like, oh, I have this intro. Like, wrong song.
Yeah, totally wrong song. They still till this day, people that I knew that were on that gig, they're just like, they call me Georgia because of it. They're like, that wasn't the right song.
It's always the same. It's universal, right? You do something, then it's all your life like,
Yeah.
When you drive like, I don't know, so many miles and you go there and you have a bass drum pedal or you have a snare drum, it's like, oh, this is just like that one time.
Yeah.
It was one time. Come on.
Yep. Yeah. Like, it's just like all of that, all the attention goes onto the, I guess, funny or negative, the thing that stands out,
Yeah. But it's so beautiful what you just said, so beautiful what you said about love and about the times we're living. And everybody has a place and everybody has, I believe so, everybody has, you need to be you. That's it. And do what you have to do, but do it with love. This is amazing. Drummers. I think there were some more questions. if you want to place them in this question mark, it's always easier. Do you, I'm crazy about books. I'm crazy about, some of the people I've been talking to. I have their books already. Some of them I'm gonna purchase them. Sorry, this is a tough word. Um, and what do you tend to get inspirational by, like books, patterns, rhythms of the world, or
Wow,
something else?
that's a great question. I pull inspiration kind of from everywhere. Sometimes nature, I'll look outside and I'll see trees, or sometimes when I'm even playing music outside and you hear the birds or you hear the crickets, and that's like you get a sense of like how all of the music there's literally music everywhere. There's timing. It's just amazing to listen, because it's not exactly quiet. There's cars passing by, there's wind, all of these things produce sound and rhythm. So I gather inspiration from nature. Like I mentioned, the book that I was reading, the Becoming Supernatural, and like books like that really just sometimes just take my mind off, and you're just like, whoa. And you apply that to when you start playing something or you start thinking about something. It's like, it's so cool, because that's like a representation of you, So
It's amazing what you're saying, because we feel so alone sometimes. Most of the times I think everybody's chopping around, everybody's trying to be fast, everybody's trying to play a lot, everybody's studying something till exhaustion, and I don't feel like that. I feel like when I read a book or I watch a movie or I go outside with my dog, sometimes ideas pop up and I'm like, and most of the times that's when I understand how I should be playing, how myself should be playing, and not reproducing or doing exercises or doing just. And when I sit and I'm, as you just said, when you sit and you let it flow, it's when you play, I think, the better you. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
But
I agree totally. Yeah.
it's amazing. Because some of my friends, they don't work like this, and I was always like, I don't have it. I don't have what it takes to practice. Perfect practice makes perfect, whatever. And I was like, oh, I was always feeling guilty, like, oh, I should be playing 8 hours. I should be, but I understood very early that no, it's not my thing. It's not my thing. But you can have a voice. You can do it seriously, do it good, but you don't need to do it specifically in one way or the other. Well, it's my opinion. So it's so amazing. Am I pronouncing right? AKHAMIE? It's that?
AKHAMIE, yeah.
AKHAMIE.
AKHAMIE.
Okay, sorry. AKHAMIE. So amazing what you're sharing here with us. It's so rich, and I can see clearly from where everything comes. I don't know if there were some people asking you about amazing drummers who, for you.
My favorite drummers, Nate Smith is one of my favorites. He just, the finesse, the execution, and he's not too flashy, but he'll just really lays in there. And I remember the first time I saw one of his videos. As a drummer, I was playing, I was traveling, I was touring. I was like, I don't know what he's doing. Like I cannot. So like when that happens and your interest is piqued so much for you to be like, wow, I need to go look at this person. So yeah, he's one of my favorites. For chops, I like Larno Lewis, from Snarky Puppy. He's great. He's amazing. Someone that's really creative, Dennis Chambers was one of my earliest and favorites when I was growing up. Steve Gadd, Dave Weckl, like those are like the greats. Buddy Rich, I studied Buddy Rich for for a while, and like he is also one where you look at him and you're like, whoa, how is this happening right now? Like, how are you doing this? Just like precision and that finesse and perfection. It's just amazing. Yeah. So those are some of my favorites.
Thank you. Thank you. So they're so good references. We must have around 5 minutes. I have so much information. I'm overwhelmed. But I would like to ask you. I really like, you know, the rudimental stuff. It really made my way of playing, I think so. Like, I don't know how to explain you. I always think about a groove as a pattern, as something that you can dance, something that I always try to, you know, when I'm playing, working with some band or something, I always try to make a big connection with the song, but rhythmically, almost like pulling the song to a kind of a pattern. It is always kind of rudimental, like and you also think that you had this influence in your playing from all that school and reading and all those.
Oh yeah. So like I mentioned, like I started off I was 5 years old and I saw my cousin playing in church and I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do. And so like there was that just interest, and then you go from that to creativity and just wanting to play, and then you go to school and it's very structured and it's like, okay, read the music, and so you still have that like that structure, but you still have that creative outlet. So yes, I also pull from the rudimental side, like especially when I started studying with Miles Overton, my instructor. He was just like, one of the first things he's asked, he was like, do you know all your rudiments? It's like knowing the alphabet, because that's like the foundation. So if you understand a double stroke roll, a single stroke roll, paradiddle, and you can build off of all of that stuff, that, you know, is going to help you when you go over to the kit. He also, when he would start lessons, and this is how I also start lessons, I start on one drum. You start on the snare, or you start on a practice pad, but you want to make sure your hands are good before you go over to the kit. It's just like kind of like warming up. But you know, if you can't play a paradiddle on one drum, you're gonna try to play paradiddle groove with a hi-hat, kick, and snare. It's just like you break it down, you simplify it, and then you branch off when you feel like you have something to apply. So
great. I was telling people were asking, and I was telling people that they can reach you to have classes, right? We have 1 minute and a half.
Oh yeah.
People can reach you, right? They can.
Yeah. DM me direct. Yeah, send me a DM, message me, email me. I give lessons here. If you're near, I do online lessons. So Skype or FaceTime, WhatsApp. I did a lesson yesterday on Instagram, not Instagram live, but an Instagram video. So yeah.
Great. AKHAMIE, thank you so much. This went by really fast for me. But thank you. This has been amazing. And hope everything goes well, and I'm waiting for that album. And well, you can say now goodbye to everybody, all these good people who are listening.
Bye. Thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks so much for having me on your show. Say bye, Julian.
Julian, you're so cute.
Say thanks.
And you're a great drummer, great woman. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.